Discussion 1. The topic is effective implementation of NCF in foundational years. Moderator for this discussion is Mr. Ankit Vora, Territory Head ECA Madhya Pradesh and Director Jan Group of Schools. May I please request you to please come on the stage and take the moderator's seat. Mr. Ankit Vora. I hope celebrity syndrome is not there. Huh? Please take the middle one. Whichever you feel is good for moderator. Amongst the panelists, we have Mr. Aradhya Jain, Director, Oscar School, Indore. Please take seat over the stage. Ms. Nikita Porwal, Director, Birla Open Minds. Ms. Abha Jain, Director, the Kids Foundation School. Mr. Dharam Verma ji, Director, Academic Development, DPS. So our panel is ready and I open the discussion. Over to Mr. Ankit Vora.
आराध्य जी, आप चारों बहुत अच्छा नाम कमा चुके हैं, बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं ऑलरेडी। धर्म सर से आज पहली बार मुलाकात हुई है और धर्म सर काफ़ी जाने माने स्कूल्स के साथ इतने सालों का अनुभव लेकर बैठे हैं। आभा मैम बहुत अच्छा सालों से स्कूल चला रही है, किड्स फाउंडेशन, जो कि बहुत ही फेमस स्कूल है अपने एरिया में। निकिता मैम भी बहुत अच्छा ब्रांड को कैरी कर रही है, बिरला ओपन माइंड्स। और आराध्य जो हमको हर बार मिलने पर कुछ न कुछ नया सिखाता है और इनसे मिलने पर बहुत नई ऊर्जा मिलती है कि कितना अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं। इतना अच्छा शायद इंदौर में अभी मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई इस कॉन्सेप्ट पर अभी इतने ऑर्गेनाइज्ड वे में कोई काम कर रहा है। आज हमारा टॉपिक जो है डिस्कशन का वो एनसीएफ के इर्द गिर्द है और एनसीएफ में स्पेसिफिकली बिकॉज वी आर रिप्रेजेंटिंग द अर्ली चाइल्डहुड एसोसिएशन, तो मैं अपना थोड़ा परिचय देना चाहता हूँ। So myself Ankit Vora, I am from Indore only and I am running few schools in Madhya Pradesh and Ujjain, Dhar districts, and they are chain of play schools and K-12 schools. So my schools are associated with Jain group of institution. We have 100 schools all over the country and we have our own university. Early Childhood Association is an association based in Mumbai and the president is Swati Popat Vats. She is also happened to be the president of Poddar Education Network, which is running 550 schools across the country, preschools. Early Childhood Association is her NGO and in her initiative already 50,000 members are there, and we have started our Indore chapter also, and we have more than 200 members in that, and recently we have started, so we'll be doing more in that, and I'm representing Early Childhood Association for Madhya Pradesh chapter. So we will start with the first question, and I would like to ask to Dharam sir. Sir, NCF highlights developmental milestones. How do you train your teachers to understand age-related milestones both for assessment and curriculum planning?
Very good question asked. First and foremost change which has been brought in this national education policy is that the entry point in the school will be 3+. Earlier, we could see the students entering these classes at as early as 2.5. This is the biggest challenge which we are facing because we are going to implement for the session 24-25, and we will have issue for one reason. There will be some students who will miss out this cut-off age by 2 months, 3 months. And there will be pressure. There will be pressure from the parents, sir, why you are so fussy about it. But if the decision has been taken that the entry point has to be 3+, I think all the schools across the country must be honest, must educate the parents that this is being done in the interest of the child. Very early entry had its own problems. If I can quote some of the researches which have happened, Oxford report is beautifully drafted. I have gone through, 24 pages report is there, which says a child who is under age for the class has issues, learning issues up to the class 5. And there is a research which says child born after October or November, his academic performance, his physical performance is better than that of those who have born earlier, say in May or June or July. Reason is one, because the parent generally insists the schools, sir, it's a matter of 2 months, 3 months, so de dijiye. So my advice to the parents, my advice to all my colleagues sitting here, let us resolve this age, if criteria has been fixed, must be implemented in the interest of the child. अगर हमारे बच्चे अच्छा कर रहे हैं, हिंदुस्तानी बच्चे अच्छा कर रहे हैं, वो और अच्छा करेंगे अगर हम honestly age criteria को follow करेंगे.
And that's why we see that there is a playgroup class also in few schools where they are not exposed to any kind of learning materials, especially books and other things. And they are just left in the school to play, to sing, and more of a oral, their literacy development and other things happen. And we see that why we called it preschool for the KG1, KG2, and even nursery also. That we are preparing them for the school, formal school. But it should not be there. So Friedrich Frobel has rightly said that it is kindergarten. It is the garden of the children. Don't give it the name preschool. We should not prepare them for schooling at such tender age. And we should leave them, and yes, age appropriate things has to be followed, because they are so soft and nimble, and their body is not that developed that they can take any kind of pressure for the classes required. Thank you. So now next question, question number 2. Abha ma'am, play-based learning is strongly emphasized in the NCF. How do you ensure your curriculum is play-based?
Hello. As we all know, the first right of the child is to play. बचपन उसी को कहा जाता है जब बच्चा अपनी मर्जी से, अपने हिसाब से अपनी बॉडी का मूवमेंट करे और सारी चीज़ें उसके मुताबिक हो. तो पहला राइट जो, या मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि बच्चे का जो फेवरेट वर्क है वो प्ले है. Why we should not imbibe everything in the for their learning process. We should try to imbibe everything, like we should create different types of activity according to the level of the child, where the child can love to play. The criteria of play should be completed there, and simultaneously the structured learning should be there. The play should be unstructured. The child can choose according to the activity, whatever he wants to do. Suppose if a child loves to choose blocks to play, and some construction he used to do with the blocks, and we should put the open-ended question to the child that why you have chosen these blocks and what you have made with these blocks. So by that the child is like able to express also, and the different communication skills and different skills are also going to involved in that, like their learning process. So by involving the different activities and giving them the group concept of learning, we can, like, children can interact with each other. We can design one thing, like suppose if you are taking any one topic in the class which you want to like make the children learn that, for the 6 days it can be in different ways. We should not be like traditional way of taking, like write the letter somewhere 10 times. We should not do that way. We can just inculcate the different ways every day for the child. Sometimes the child can paint, sometimes the child can play with the clay. Like that we can imbibe the things for the children in early age.
So it is rightly said by Albert Einstein that play is the highest form of research and play is the highest form of learning. And ma'am, as you said that there should be mix of structured play, there should be mix of guided play, and there should be free play also where voice and choice of the children should be there. And as you said that blocks, like it is called as exploratory play, and it develops their mind in a very systematic manner where they can do their mental cognitive development can be ensured in that. So play has to be promoted in the school, and now in NCF document also you will see that it is clearly stated that more and more play based learning should happen in the school.
One thing here I want to say one more thing. Nowadays parents also become quite aware of this thing. They also searching such schools, those who are taking activity based schools, those are like, and according to me the teacher should be not a teacher, she should be a facilitator for the child, who can guide the child and give the freedom of exploring, and just that way I just
Yes, we have to just facilitate them, and it is happening from last 200-300 years. In Maria Montessori also, if you will see the equipments, it were based on play only, and especially on Friedrich Frobel, what 9 special gifts he has developed 250 years ago in Bad Rock, Germany. So you will see that those gifts were still relevant, they are good for play, and from simple to complex learning happens through that. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Now, question number 3. So 3 is left, sir. Dharam sir, I have to ask to you. No one has replied. So Giju Bhai Vadheka pioneered the concept of story pedagogy in his book Diva Swapna. Our question to you is that do you use story pedagogy in your school, and how do you implement it?
See, in the foundational stage, if you want teaching to be effective, you have to have storytelling as one of your teaching tool. And when you talk about the teaching, using teaching tool as a storytelling thing, we should be very careful about certain things. Your story should be related to your environment. If we use some fairy tales which cannot be correlated to the environment, the child doesn't get interest in it. So I have been insisting my schools, teachers there, that when you are using this tool, keep in mind one important thing, ऐसी कोई खेल हो ऐसा जिसको बच्चा कोरिलेट कर सके. आपके फैमिली से रिलेटेड कोई कहानी बनाई जाए, आपके दादा दादी के साथ कोई कहानी बनाई जाए जिसको बच्चा एसोसिएट कर सके. अगर वो एसोसिएट करेगा, एनवायरनमेंट की चीज़ों को बेस रख के कोई कहानी नरेट की जाती है, तो लर्निंग थोड़ी ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव होती है. तो माई पीस ऑफ एडवाइस टू ऑल माई कलीग्स एंड माई टीचर्स हु आर इन दिस प्रोफेशन, don't go for those stories, fairy tales which are happening or must have been narrated in UK, Germany, Spain, the child is not able to correlate. And then the child is forced to remember. So one of the focus here has been shift away from rote learning to understanding. And understanding will happen if my teachers are able to bring out, use those stories as teaching tools which the child is able to associate.
Sir, very rightly said that story should connect to your immediate environment. And जैसे आप कोई जानवर की स्टोरी सुनाना चाहते हैं और अगर आप पोलर बेयर और ये लाओगे जिसको वो कभी देखा ही नहीं है, ना जू में देख सकते हैं, तो दे विल नेवर एवर बी एबल टू कनेक्ट इट. और अगर आप उनको काऊ या मंकी या डोंकी और उससे क्रो से करोगे तो दे एटलीस्ट विल बी एबल टू सी दोज एनिमल्स एंड दे विल बी एबल टू कनेक्ट. एंड आवर लैंड इज लैंड ऑफ स्टोरीज. स्टोरी टेलिंग तो हमारे यहाँ 2000-5000 सालों से चल रही है. इवन जेके रोलिंग ने एक्सेप्ट किया है कि आई वॉज इंस्पायर्ड बाय महाभारता, और मैं वैसी तो लिख ही नहीं सकता हूँ. उतना बड़ा महाकाव्य जो है, महानाट्य जो है, उसको लिखा नहीं जा सकता है. धन्यवाद सर. माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू आराध्य. आराध्य, द एनसीएफ आउटलाइंस assessment by children. Are you ready implementing it in your observation based assessment? Are you already implementing it in your school, and if yes, how?
Hello. Thank you so much, Ankit sir, for this question. So basically, if you talk about the assessment in NCF for the foundational years, so basically this assessment, what I have understand, has three core the competencies which makes it very different. The first aspect is they have tried to make sure that this assessment is culturally relevant and sensitive, which means that it doesn't focus whether the child is learning English language or Hindi language or Kannada, it focuses whether the child is learning any language or not. So that's the first thing. And second, it is sensitive towards, every culture. It doesn't, highlights one culture and its epitome or the other culture and its epitome. It's culturally sensitive, and it identifies that yes, people have differences. Kids are again categorized into 5 core aspects. The first is physical abilities of a child, second is cognitive, third is social emotional, fourth is cultural and aesthetics, and fifth is their language and literacy. So they have broadly divided the assessment into 5 key aspects. And then when you talk about the foundational stage, so what they are telling is a child cannot assess themselves, and it has to be through the lens of what you call as inquiry. So it has to be inquired. So on these 5 developmental goals, they have again broadly categorized into core competencies according to the age. So NCF at the foundational stage is for 3 to 8 years. So it categorizes whether a child physical abilities at the age of 3, what they should be able to do, 4, what they should be able to do up till 8 years. So they have very beautifully bifurcated these physical abilities. And I've also got a continuum, so just I'll read it out, that how we are implementing at Oscar. So for example, we have a physical skill which is called as building strength and balance. So this skill is implementable at age 3 up till age 8. Right, so for example, if a child who is 4 years old builds strength and balances, so they have written in the document, which is hops from one foot to other and start skipping. So it's a very basic thing which a child at the age of 3 years should be able to do. Now from the teacher perspective, how they should observe is, every day in almost all the preschools, they have physical activities happening. They just have to observe it and then able to assess whether the child is able to skip on one foot or not. So they have very, systematically done these assessments. They have created templates, and from the school perspective, they just have to give these templates to the teachers, get it assessed maybe on a quarterly basis or 6 monthly basis, the way they want it to be done. So the difference what this assessment has created is, now we're not discussing, acha writing hai to, can do better, is doing good. These were the sentences when I was a student and I used to get these assessments. But the paradigm shift which the NCF brings is, now it is skill based, and at the same time you have these small points which not just a teacher but also parent can read and understand, acha ye kar sakta hai ya nahi kar sakta. So this is what NCF brings on the table when you talk about assessment.
So rightly said that you are working in a lot of details. God live in details, and you have proved it. So yes, as you mentioned, that physical capabilities of the child from 3 years to 8 years. So if we want to assess, then jumping, hopping, skipping, balancing. So there are so many activities, and it happens almost every other day in the school, and I think every day in the school. So we have the chance to observe it, teachers have the chance to observe it, and then can rightly, in foreign countries, especially in UK and Australia, New Zealand, where early childhood curriculum is very strong and their assessment is very strong, we can see that they are able to assess the child at a very right age. So if any help is required, they can intervene and they can help out the children. So my next question number 5. I think question number 5, someone has taken question number 5 because I can't see anyone. So I'll jump to question number 6 first. The NCF talks about Panchadi, the steps of lesson planning which are Aditi, Bodh, Abhyas, Prayog and Prasar. So how your teachers are planning it and then using it in your school?
Yeah, our teachers are planning it by following this structure of lesson plan and by introducing and completing the topic in the same order. But before I go into the details, I would like to know how many of us available here are actually involved into curriculum designing. You can just simply raise your hands. So every time we plan our lesson plan, do you see that there is some scope of improvement next time? Every time it is there. And is there anybody who is, I think that most of you must be aware of NCF. How many of you are really aware of Panchadi? Right? So the first step.
I'm sorry to intervene into. So Panchadi is nothing but Bloom's taxonomy. Yes. I will tell you that how it blooms. तो मुझे लगता है Bloom's ने यहाँ से ले गया था और आपने हाँ yes.
They have a structure.
No, I am talking about the traditional Bloom's taxonomy, जो introduction, understanding, application. हाँ B.Ed में पढ़ते हैं. It is same as Panchadi.
It's same as Panchadi.
It's same as Panchadi.
So the first step. Correct. So Panchadi, the punch comes from the core word that there are 5 steps. So first step is Aditi. We call it introduction, and the introduction should happen in the same way as per them what I have done right now. That is, you should have open-ended questions to the class. The teacher should gain the prior knowledge what her children are having in the class rather than herself introducing the concept in the class. So in the first step, whenever you are introducing a topic, the teacher should be onto the listener's side and not the moderator side. So that is what their first step says. So the second step is what they call, that is both. So when I say both, it is conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding is when the teacher targets at enlightening the knowledge what she has introduced in the first step. So how we are doing it is, like if say I have introduced rainforest in my class, the teacher will start with open-ended questions about forest, the flora and fauna of the forest, the animals found, and now how the rainforest is different from a normal forest, how the 4 layers of the forest makes it different, the weather and the types of animals goes very exclusive for this place. And then here she will plan multiple activities. So these activities will cater many methods of teaching, starting from dramatization, enactments, enrichment of vocabulary, the worksheets, coloring sheets, and if the topic permits any field trip, it can be associated with the field trip that ways. The third step which comes in Panchadi is Abhyas. So we all know Karat Karat Abhyas ke Janmati hot Sujan, Rasri Avat Jaat ke Sil par kare nishan. So the same way Abhyas is very important for children. So once the topic is introduced, once the concept is being taught in the class, it is important that the child is able to apply it. When we talk about foundation stage in NCF, it is only up till grade 2. So we can't expect them to just do the worksheets and the notebooks and reading the textbooks and all. So the Abhyas has to go in variety of ways. For example, if I have completed my teaching of Varnamala in class K2, I'll have to make them practice of writing, reading and spotting of right word when they are learning Hindi. So we have many kinds of activities in the class wherein the sequencing of ka ka ga ga is involved, where the sand writing, air writing is involved. We give them newspapers and they are supposed to spot say ka and kha are the word of the day. So they will circle the words, they will spot the one in names of their classmates, they will share their favorite one and cut it out and paste it on the softboard. So Abhyas has to be into variety of ways, as Abha ma'am has mentioned, the variety of play methods, so it has been included at this step. The next step which goes is Prayog. Prayog is again very beautiful step where I have learned a concept. I know everything about, say, maths. Why am I learning the concept? How is it important for me in my actual life? So Prayog talks about this step where the teacher is basically targeting on real life integration of the concept. How we do it is, I'll take an example of community helper. We teach so many community helpers to our kindergarten students. Cobbler, carpenter, mason, nurse, doctor, engineer, mechanic, electrician, sweeper, maids, drivers. There are n number of community helpers. What we do is, like, by just not teaching them on the chart or in the video, we have these, most of the helpers on board only. So they come up with all their equipments in the class, and there is an interactive session of certain time where they will give a demo that how are they contributing to the society and children's life on daily basis. Children, if say it's a community helper wherein we can give them opportunity to use the tools themselves and do that demo. Maybe using the RCC and joining the bricks when a mason has visited. So this way a respect, care is developed within children for the society, for themselves, for the environment, and we are integrating their learnings with the real life which is around. And the last come Prayas. I was asked to prepare for Panchadi. I learned everything, and what I am doing here is Prayas. That is the expansion and sharing of the knowledge what you have gained. So, as per Panchadi, they say that once the topic is completed by the teacher in the class, the children should be given opportunity to do the flipped classroom teaching. So that because when you speak, you learn the most. You learn the most when you have to present it, when you have to make your question paper on your own, when you have to design an activity on your own. So here they say that at the culmination of each and every topic, there has to be a session given for prayas, where the children are teaching, the children are making projects and representing, they can represent in front of their friends and parents, and this way very beautifully NCF has given a crux for the educators and the parents that how a teaching should start and end.
वेरी वेल एक्सप्लेन निकिता मैम. और ये सारी स्टेप्स पांचों बहुत ज़रूरी है. जैसे धर्म सर ने जब हम आए तब बताया कि लास्ट माइल रीच क्या है, जो भी चीज़ें कॉन्सेप्ट्स डेवलप होते हैं जो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स हैं, रूरल स्कूल्स हैं, वहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है. क्योंकि 55% of the students, if there are 17 million schools in the country, so most of the children are studying in those kind of schools only. And even if we name them private schools, so not all private schools are doing great or going in the details what learning is being happened. आप ऑब्जर्व करेंगे, एक मैं इंटरव्यू में अभी बैठा था, इंदौर के इंजीनियर्स को रिक्रूट करने के लिए, मेरे साथ एक और थे कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी के. तो उन्होंने सामने वाले जिसने इंजीनियरिंग करा था स्टूडेंट, उसके प्लेसमेंट के लिए उससे सवाल किया पहला कि ये टेबल बताना है कितने मीटर की है. तो वो बोलता है कि सर ये तो 10 मीटर की होगी. तो 10 मीटर, तो हमने भी आश्चर्य किया, 10 मीटर का तो रूम भी नहीं है. एंड वाई इज रिप्लाइंग टेबल. तो उसके पास इंफॉर्मेशन तो है कि चलो मीटर और फीट और ये सब कुछ होता है, बट देर इज सेकंड स्टेज से उसका सब कुछ मिसिंग है. और वी वर सरप्राइज्ड कि उसने इंजीनियरिंग कैसे कर ली. और ये वही इंजीनियर्स है जिस हम बाईपास से आए हैं कि 2-2 किलोमीटर के ब्रिज बना रखे हैं और उसमें से निकलने की जगह 10 फीट की है. और एक हम शास्त्री ब्रिज देखते हैं हमारे शहर में, जो एक छोटा सा ब्रिज है, बट नीचे से आज भी ट्रेन भी निकलती है और 4 लेन रोड भी है, दोनों साइड से गाड़ी पास हो सकती है. तो ये वही दिक्कत है कि बच्चों को सिर्फ इंफॉर्मेशन, क्योंकि टीचर अध्यापक नहीं होना चाहिए, इंफॉर्मेशन गिवर नहीं है, ही शुड बी गुरु. तो गुरु है तो उसको पूरा फैसिलिटेट करना और उसको इंफॉर्मेशन से लेकर उसके प्रसार तक 5 स्टेजेस पे काम हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है पूरा देखना चाहिए. हमारे यहाँ तो टीचर्स भी ट्रेंड नहीं है. बीएड का कोर्स भी जो एनसीटी का डिजाइंड है वो बहुत पुराना है. अभी धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी ने कल ही घोषणा करी कि अब टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग का कोर्स जो है अब एनसीटी नहीं बनाएगी, अब इसको एनसीईआरटी जिसने करिकुलम बनाया है उसी को डिजाइन करने लिए दिया जाएगा. हालांकि एनसीटी ठीक है उसे इम्प्लीमेंट करेगी, बट बहुत जरूरी है. और आप देखेंगे बीएड वाले, आप उनसे ब्लूम्स टेक्सोनॉमी भी वापस पूछ लेंगे, दे वॉन्ट बी एबल टू टेल यू एनीथिंग और एक्सप्लेन एनीथिंग आउट ऑफ इट. तो ये विडंबना है, हमारे यहाँ टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग बहुत कमज़ोर है, इसलिए जो है हमारे देश का आधार जो है बच्चे जो हैं वो बहुत ही सफ़र कर रहे हैं. माई नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू आराध्य इज दिस: देर आर ऑलवेज सम चिल्ड्रन in every class that struggle with learning new concepts and they need scaffolding. The NCF talks about GRR, which is gradual release of responsibility, which means helping support these children till they are able to learn on their own. What are your thoughts on this and how do you plan and can implement in your school? Over to you, Aradhya.
So again, when you talk about support, so almost every child needs support at different moments. So, you know, the support starts right from day one. You know, a child would need support. But from the teacher perspective, that teacher should be aware that this child needs support. If a teacher is not aware that, you know, my child in this class needs support, so, you know, things won't function. What I see GRR is an effective pedagogy implementation strategy. And how it should function is, when we implement in our school, Oscar, we've divided into 3 parts. The first part is what we call the teacher aspect. Second part is what we call as support environment. And the third part is, you give freedom to the child and the child does it. So, I would like to explain using 1 or 2 examples. So how it functions, the support environment, is when you see a new child coming to a school, what is the major difference that the child would see is a change of environment. At home there are 5 or 6 adults or maybe 1 or 2 kids, but at the school the proportion changes. You have 100 kids and maybe 15 or 20 adults taking care of that. So for that child, how this support is important is, you have already changed the environment, you're in an education setting. What is required is you try to have the same balance which is there at home as well. Why don't you have maybe 3 or 5 kids with maybe 1 or 2 adults, and give them an environment wherein they understand, what is the basic perspective of coming to the school is to play. Let them play, let them understand. So this is where a teacher's perspective comes, wherein she or he, in a very closed environment, give them these opportunities to play. We've observed kids doesn't want to even go into the classes right on the day one. They just want to be around the gate so that, the moment the parent comes in, they want to meet them. So be outdoors, let the child play, let them explore. So that is where the teacher perspective comes. The second is a closed environment, wherein, now the child is fairly settled. You try to take them once or twice in a classroom in a very controlled environment. Other kids don't bother them. Their belongings are being taken care, not by themselves, but by the teacher. So, this is the second perspective where things are happening in a very closed environment. The third is, okay, now, the separation anxiety is gone. It's been already 2 or 3 weeks. The child is emotionally now ready to accept that challenge. So then you can have the child in the classroom. So this is one way of looking at how the scaffolding should be done. The second way the second example would be, taking a child who's not very good with writing skills. So, how the support should function is, initially there has to be many fine motor activities which are being conducted on a one-to-one basis. We have one teacher who's just taking care of these activity path, so that the child gets enough confidence in doing something which they like to do, which is play. Then eventually you get some more resources in a closed environment, wherein maybe not just a small pencil, but maybe a bigger crayon or a lot of art and craft activities. And then comes, the third part is now, okay, the teacher knows that fine motor muscles are fairly developed. Age appropriate things are being already completed. Then you give them exposure to books, because initially they don't even know how to use these books. So that, understanding has to be developed in the teachers, that, this is how support needs to be given. So probably, this is how the scaffolding should be done.
So very well explained, Aradhya. Now, next question to Abha ma'am. What is your opinion about this thought which many educators have, that children who play more likely to perform better academically, have higher graduation rates and demonstrate better social skills compared to those who do not?
Very good question, sir. पहले कुछ मैं सोचूंगी, मेरी जनरेशन में ऐसा कहा जाता था, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे होगे खराब, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे बनोगे नवाब, खेलोगे कूदोगे होगे खराब. बट अब इसका वाइस वर्सा मैं बिलीव करती हूँ, क्योंकि व्हेन द चाइल्ड्स फेवरेट थिंग इज टू प्ले, एज आई अर्लियर सेड, एंड द ब्रेन वर्क्स देयर व्हेन द चाइल्ड प्लेज. So when the child plays, all the other skills also get involved in that, and I believe that is the fantastic way to make a small child of 2 to 3 years to learn of something. Allow the freedom, give the freedom of exploring the things and learn by that. So that is a fantastic, I believe in that, and I am running the school on that basis only, that playway is a fun for the child. Let me complete. Okay. Playway is the fantastic and fun where the child gain the joy and interact, communication skills, so many different things the child learns. So I believe that every play school or the kindergarten should be based on that. Thank you.
I'll just add one thing here. Learning doesn't mean only score, marks. Learning is beyond score. Whereas our parents, our sometimes teachers also go wrong. Learning means if a child scores good marks, he has learnt. No, it's not correct. That may be based on his memory. So, play, if done regularly, healthy body, healthy mind, and therefore it is effective in learning for sure.
And
One
last
thing here, I just sorry to interrupt. Experience, like by that lot of experiences a child gains. So that is like a wonderful way of
Yes.
giving the knowledge to a small age child.
and that stays with them forever because that is. So last question to Nikita. Research consistently shows that structured, guided and free play can have long-term positive effect on children's cognitive, social and emotional development. Kindly let us know your thoughts.
Before I answer, I like to share that ये question पढ़ के दिल खुश हो गया. Because we have been talking about holistic development of children. We talk a lot about teaching methodologies. Audiovisual से पढ़ाना है, hands-on से पढ़ाना है, creative work से पढ़ाना है, linguistic पढ़ाना है, kinesthetic पढ़ाना है. But it is for the first time when we are talking about that, what are the precise ways of teaching through play. So these balance of guided, structured and free play is very important when we are educating a child. Structured play has its own set of rules. A child can solve a problem, a child can have logical thinking, but they are under certain restrictions. For example, if you are playing football, you have set of team, you have set of rules, you have a defined area to play, and then you will have to do it. So that is a place where a child learns how to work under discipline and still perform by solving problem. The second comes free play, which is very, very essential for the creative development and the cognitive development of child. Because free play doesn't have any boundaries and restrictions. I have a ground, I can run anywhere, in any pattern, at any speed. I have blocks, I have paint sheet and colors, I have no rules. I am going to set my rules and I will use my creativity to whatever extent I wish to. What guided play does is, it is a thin line between a structured play and free play. Again, it is very important where we are actually creating leaders. How we are doing is, example of guided play is doing experiments, writing dialogues for a drama. So here a topic is defined. The teacher or the parent has a target and objective in mind, very similar to the structured play, that what outcome are we seeking in the child at the end of the game. So we give them a topic, but unlike structured play and similar to free play, a child has freedom to define his own rules, own disciplines and do it. A very simple example is doing a project. So if I say a child to make a project on a fire restoration, so here they are like confined in the topic, but at the same time they don't have any limitation. They can go to a fire station, they can Google it, and they can make their project and present it in their own way. So these are the precise ways of playway which is defined in NCF, which are actually...
Yes.
creating leaders and learners. So I really liked it.
Yeah, so very well explained. Thank you, Nikita. And प्ले का मैंने एक एक्रोनियम टाइप बनाया था, उसका फुल फॉर्म पावरफुल लेसन्स एक्वायरिंग योग, बिकॉज इट इज़ काइंड ऑफ योग विच दे डू. सो प्ले अब बच्चों की लाइफ में कम से कम अब अच्छे से एंटर होगा एनसीएफ के बाद. तो एजुकेटर्स हैव ऑल्सो रियलाइज्ड और पेरेंट्स ने तो रियलाइज़ कर ही लिया था, क्योंकि कोरोना के अंदर सभी ने एक्टिविटी किट बहुत सारी ऑनलाइन मंगवाई थी और घर पे उनकी लर्निंग उसी से इंश्योर हुई थी जितनी भी हुई थी. आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जो एनसीएफ फाउंडेशनल ईयर्स के काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण जितने भी टॉपिक्स थे सभी ऑडियंस को एनलाइटन करने के लिए. और मेरा सौभाग्य मैंने ये पैनल जो है मॉडरेट करी और हम सब जल्दी मिलेंगे फिर इसी प्लेटफॉर्म पर. हो सकता है नेहा अगले साल हमें फिर मौका देंगे. और राहुल और नेहा बहुत मेहनती हैं, बहुत ही क्रिएटिव हैं और रायपुर इतनी दूर से आके यहाँ पर इतना बड़ा इवेंट किया और हम सब उन्हें और सहयोग करेंगे और नेक्स्ट ईयर इसे और ग्रैंड बनाने के लिए पूरा प्रयास करेंगे. धन्यवाद.
Thank you so much for questions if there are any. I would request the panel number 2 panelists to be on my left hand side. Please take your seats and you can carry on some conversation if need be. The moderator for next panel discussion is Mr. Neeraj Verma. Please take your seats. Panelists are Mr. Kuldeep Purohit, Principal Rankers International School. Madam Kanchan Tare, Principal SSRVM. Mr. Mudit Thakkar, CEO Youngo Waiter. Mr. Anand Ingle, Director AVM Infotech India Private Limited. Madam Geeta Taneja, Principal Vidyanjali International School. I would request all of you to please take your seat on my left hand side. So if there are any questions to the panel 1, we open the forum now. So before the mic reaches him, I have a question. So you said there are problems. If I use the humble word, there are inappropriate methods for teacher trainings. So where do you see the problems are? Why the teacher training is missing or weak in our system? Anyone can answer and we can even have points. What? See, for everything we need why, what, where.
Most importantly, teaching as a profession is not देंगे और रिस्पेक्टफुल बना देंगे. जैसा कि दूसरी डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज़ में वहाँ टीचर्स को डॉक्टर के बराबर ही देखा जाता है, इंजीनियर्स के बराबर देखा जाता है या बिजनेसमैन उद्योगपतियों के बराबर देखा जाता है. और सेकंड है यहाँ टीचर्स बाय चॉइस नहीं बन रहे हैं और बाय दूसरी मजबूरी में ज़्यादा बन रहे हैं. अगर टीचर्स बाय चॉइस हम 10th के बाद ही आइडेंटिफाई कर, जैसे रीजनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एजुकेशन है, so after 12 they provide that integrated comprehensive program for BA, B.Ed something. अगर वैसे इंस्टीट्यूट्स आ रही हमारे देश में और होंगे 10, 15, 20 और ऑर्गेनाइज तरीके से चलेंगे तो और अच्छे क्वालिटी टीचर्स निकल के आएंगे. ऐसा नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स अच्छा नहीं कर रहे हैं. केवी, JNV काफ़ी कुछ स्कूल्स हैं जो अच्छा कर रहे हैं बट दे आर वेरी लिमिटेड इन नंबर्स. जो उनकी संख्या 1200 या 1300 है. अगर हम सब जोड़ भी लें और 1000 बच्चे एक में जोड़ेंगे तो 12 लाख चिल्ड्रन आर देयर बट नॉट सफिशिएंट. वैसे और स्कूल्स बनने चाहिए. अभी योजनाएं बन रही है CM's राइज और PM श्री स्कूल्स, बट देखते हैं वो कितना अच्छे से चल पाते हैं, कितना अच्छा सिस्टमेटिकली वो कर पाते हैं. एक चीज़ मैं ज़रूर बोलूँगा, बिकॉज एनवायरनमेंट इज़ द थर्ड टीचर. There is a lot of efforts happening from government side to improve the environment of the school. अब गवर्नमेंट भी बहुत पैसा खर्च करके हाईटेक ग्राउंड्स, हाईटेक क्लासरूम्स, नहीं तो पहले सरकारी स्कूल में पानी गिर रहा है, दीवार गिर रही है, अंदर गाय है, भैंस है, सब है और वैसा हो रहा था. बट अभी कम से कम वो एरा तो जा चुका है. कम से कम आप जाओगे गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में तो वेल पेंटेड वॉल्स आपको दिखेगी. जो बाला कॉन्सेप्ट हम बोलते हैं बिल्डिंग एज लर्निंग एड, उस कॉन्सेप्ट को इम्बाइब करके उन्होंने जो बनाई है. तो ऐसे कुछ चीज़ें अच्छी भी हो रही है बट उतनी सफिशिएंट नहीं है जितनी होनी
Absolutely.
चाहिए.
So my question was related to teacher training. Of course, a lot of it is answered. Teaching is, but education is. So that's the responsibility of, if Nikita
I would
ma'am.
like to add to go hands-on rather than being theoretical.
Yeah.
We expect them to do hands-on implementation, the training should also go hands-on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The new education
Good
policy,
question.
this national education post to increase budget to 6% of GDP. That was declared, but it hasn't happened. Let's hope things will change.
And also from the curriculum point, B.Ed on all these courses teach you the academic aspect of this, but they don't teach you relationship aspect, because again, you know, if you have a good relationship with your teacher, you'll always like that subject. So it doesn't teaches you how to build that relationship or what are the core aspects of a teacher-child relationship.
Absolutely. So a half-trained teacher is expected. So the question, yeah.
आपको बहुत होलिस्टिक पिक्चर दिखानी है क्योंकि आपको सब्जेक्ट वाइज इवैल्यूएशन नहीं बट दूसरे भी एस्पेक्ट्स उनके आपको इवैल्यूएट करने
एक ही
हैं.
क्वेश्चन है अंकित सर आपसे कि जो एनसीएफ है मतलब इट इज नॉट एनीथिंग न्यू.
नहीं मैं आपको इसमें इंटरप्ट करूंगा. एनसीएफ तो इतना कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव डॉक्यूमेंट है क्योंकि मैंने कल एक्सपर्ट्स से बात करी जिन्होंने वर्ल्ड के 4 बेस्ट अर्ली चाइल्डहुड के करिकुलम को बहुत अच्छे से स्टडी किया. 2 IITians हैं एंड दे आर रनिंग ए स्कूल इन कैलकाटा, वेरी वेल नोन स्कूल अर्थ. उन्होंने मुझे बताया सर ये एनसीएफ इतना कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव डॉक्यूमेंट है जो फाउंडेशनल ईयर्स का स्पेशली, कि अगर भारत से आज यूपीआई टेक्नोलॉजी एक्सपोर्ट हुई है तो आने वाले टाइम में ये एनसीएफ भी एक्सपोर्ट होगा और ये हमारे देश के लिए बहुत गर्व की बात होगी. तो एनसीएफ बहुत कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव है, आप इसे से पढ़ेंगे.
I think I will just address your answer is, we should be inviting the parents also to understand what are the changes. Some of
create the curriculum for the parents in the early childhood education कि भैया आपके बच्चे के 180 दिन है तो 20 दिन आपको भी स्कूल आना पड़ेगा.
Yes.
That kind of guts we have to create.
ऐसा स्कूल आप देख.
So that shift is required in the parents' mindset also. बच्चा फाउंडेशन स्टेज से प्राइमरी में आता है, आप you need to give them also transition. The mode of teaching and the subjects changes. There is a massive change in curriculum. So that somewhere the parents should also have that mindset of accepting that change and give their child to perform and learn the new methods.
I would suggest,
Absolutely. I would just close this conversation giving little answer to your question. A specific question was, take advantage of my learning of cognitive sciences. The early years is 0 to 7 years. So that time the child is exposed to all the activities. His, mindset is building. After early years, that is after class 2, the mindset starts framing in. His, choices of multiple intelligences start building up. Some are excellent in academics, some of them keep on their scores. Some choose sports as their career, some choose literature. So that's the answer. I mean, a part of it is answer that child starts building on, whether he will be academically intelligent, whether he will be having excellence in sports or literature or language, anything. So that could be one of the reasons why the scores come down. But you might see a shift in his physical development, in language development, in other areas. So that is one of the reasons why some of the children find lower down the scores. I think that gives you the answer.
मैं ये समझा मैम कि एनसीएफ आ गया अब सब कुछ चेंज हो जाएगा.
Not like that. It's not going to change the mindset of a child or the intellect of the child.
just give me 1 second to address it. Whenever you organize classes, particularly class 1 and 2, please in your open house address the parents that these are the changes which are going to happen. So that the parent is mentally aware, as she has very rightly pointed out, the focus changes. If you brief the parents, it doesn't come as a shock to them. So in your open houses, have 5-10 minutes of session with them, organize a session of this nature, and then you show them the progress report and all that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Dr. Verma, I totally go with you. Full panel, and just give a round of applause to them for a little humble gratefulness. So I would request Mr. Jaswinder ji from Wordsworth to felicitate Mr. Ankit Vora, the dynamic moderator of the day. May I request Ms. Neha Jain from Bloomstein to felicitate Ms. Nikita Porwal. I would request Mr. Sandeep Jain from Education Initiative to felicitate Dr. Dharam Verma ji. I would request Mr. Neeraj Verma, Manager, Ideal International Academy, to felicitate Madam Abha Jain. I would request Mr. Abhishek Kesarwani from School Diary to felicitate Mr. Aradhya Jain. Neeraj and other, please, I'm so sorry, please come back on the stage, we'll have a group picture. Yeah. Please stay for a group picture.